The Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP), lit. Indian People's Party, is a political party in India and one of the two major Indian political parties alongside the Indian National Congress. Since 2014, it has been the ruling political party in India under Narendra Modi, the incumbent Indian Prime Minister. The BJP is aligned with right-wing politics, and its policies have historically reflected a traditional Hindu nationalist ideology. It has close ideological and organizational links to the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. As of February 2022, it is the country's largest political party in terms of representation in the Parliament of India as well as state legislatures. The party's origins lie in the Bharatiya Janata Sangh, which was founded in 1951 by Indian politician Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. After the emergency of 1,975,197-7, the Janata Sangh merged with several other political parties to form the Janata Party. It defeated the then-incumbent Indian National Congress in the 1977 general election. After 3 years in power, the Janata Party dissolved in 1980, with the members of the erstwhile Janata Sangh reconvening to form the modern-day BJP. Although initially unsuccessful, winning only 2 seats in the 1984 general election, it grew in strength on the back of the movement around Ram Janmabhoomi in Uttar Pradesh. Following victories in several state elections and better performances in national elections, the BJP became the largest political party in the parliament in 1996. However, it lacked a majority in the lower house of parliament, and its government, under its then leader Atal Bihari Vajpayee, lasted for only 13 days. After the 1998 general election, the BJP-led coalition known as the National Democratic Alliance under Prime Minister Vajpayee formed a government that lasted for a year. Following fresh elections, the NDA government, again headed by Vajpayee, lasted for a full term in office. This was the first non-Congress government to do so. In the 2004 general election, the NDA suffered an unexpected defeat, and for the next 10 years, the BJP was the principal opposition party. However, Narendra Modi, who was then serving as the Chief Minister of Gujarat, led it to a landslide victory in the 2014 general election. Since that general election, Modi has led the NDA government as Indian Prime Minister and, as of December 2022, the alliance governs 16 states and union territories of India. The official ideology of the BJP is integral humanism, which was first formulated by Indian politician Deendayal Upadhyaya in 1965. The party advocates social conservatism and a foreign policy centered on nationalist principles. Since its assumption of power in 2014, its key focus issues have included Article 370 of the Constitution of India, which conferred a special autonomous status to Jammu and Kashmir, the building of the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh, and the implementation of the proposed Uniform Civil Code. Conversely, the 1,998,200 for NDA government did not pursue any of these controversial issues, focusing instead on a largely liberal economic policy that prioritized globalization and economic growth over social welfare. 2 of these policies have been implemented since 2014. On the 5th of August 2019, the newly re-elected BJP government revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, and on the 9th of November 2019, the Supreme Court of India passed the final verdict on the case of the Ayodhya dispute that handed over the land to a trust organization to build the Ram Mandir, a major Hindu temple. The VDEM Institute described India in a report as experiencing nationwide democratic backsliding under post-2014 BJP rule. History. Predecessors. Bharatiya Janata Sangh. Influential figures. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, founder of the Bharatiya Janata Sangh. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the first BJP Prime Minister. Lal Krishna Advani, Deputy Prime Minister under Vajpayee and one of the architects of the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. Main article, Bharatiya Janata Sangh. The BJP's origins lie in the Bharatiya Janata Sangh, popularly known as the Janata Sangh, founded by Shyama Prasad Mukherjee in 1951 in response to the politics of the dominant Congress Party. It was founded in collaboration with the Hindu nationalist volunteer organization, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, and was widely regarded as the political arm of the RSS. The Janata Sangh's aims included the protection of India's Hindu cultural identity, in addition to countering what it perceived to be the appeasement of Muslim people in the country of Pakistan by the Congress Party and then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. The RSS loaned several of its leading pracharaks, or full-time workers, to the Janata Sangh to get the new party off the ground. Prominent among these was Deendayal Upadhyaya, who was appointed General Secretary. The Janata Sangh won only 3 Lok Sabha seats in the first general elections in 1952. It maintained a minor presence in Parliament until 1967. The Janata Sangh's first major campaign, begun in early 1953, centered on a demand for the complete integration of Jammu and Kashmir into India. Mukherjee was arrested in May 1953 for violating orders from the state government restraining him from entering Kashmir. He died of a heart attack the following month, while still in jail. Mali Chandra Sharma was elected to succeed Mukherjee. However, he was forced out of power by the RSS activists within the party, and the leadership went instead to Upadhyaya. UPDA remained the General Secretary until 1967 and worked to build a committed grassroots organization in the image of the RSS. The party minimized engagement with the public, focusing instead on building its network of propagandists. UPDA also articulated the philosophy of integral humanism, which formed the official doctrine of the party. Younger leaders, such as Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Lal Krishna Advani, also became involved with the leadership in this period, with Vajpayee succeeding UPDA as president in 1968. The major themes on the party's agenda during this period were legislating a uniform civil code, banning cow slaughter, and abolishing the special status given to Jammu and Kashmir. After assembly elections across the country in 1967, the party entered into a coalition with several other parties, including the Swatantra Party and the Socialists. It formed governments in various states across the Hindi heartland, including Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. It was the first time the Jana Sangh held political office, albeit within a coalition. This caused the shelving of the Jana Sangh's more radical agenda. Janata Party. Main article, Janata Party. In 1975, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi imposed a state of emergency. The Jana Sangh took part in the widespread protests, with thousands of its members being imprisoned along with other agitators across the country. In 1977, the emergency was withdrawn and general elections were held. The Jana Sangh merged with parties from across the political spectrum, including the Socialist Party, the Congress, and the Bharatiya Lok Dal to form the Janata Party, with its main agenda being defeating Indira Gandhi. The Janata Party won a majority in 1977 and formed a government with Morarji Desai as Prime Minister. The former Jana Sangh contributed the largest tally to the Janata Party's parliamentary contingent, with 93 seats or 31% of its strength. Vajpayee, previously the leader of the Jana Sangh, was appointed the Minister of External Affairs. The national leadership of the former Jana Sangh consciously renounced its identity and attempted to integrate with the political culture of the Janata Party, based on Gandhian and Hindu traditionalist principles. According to Christophe Jaffarlot, this proved to be impossible assimilation. The state and local levels of the Jana Sangh remained relatively unchanged, retaining a strong association with the RSS, which did not sit well with the moderate center-right constituents of the party. Violence between Hindus and Muslims increased sharply during the years that the Janata Party formed the government, with former Jana Sangha members being implicated in the riots at Aligarh and Jamshedpur in 1978-79. The other major constituents of the Janata Party demanded that the Jana Sangh should break from the RSS, which the Jana Sangh refused to do. Eventually, a fragment of the Janata Party broke off to form the Janata Party. The Morarji Desai government was reduced to a minority in the parliament, forcing its resignation. Following a brief period of coalition rule, general elections were held in 1980, in which the Janata Party fared poorly, winning only 31 seats. In April 1980, shortly after the elections, the National Executive Council of the Janata Party banned its members from being dual members of party and the RSS. In response, the former Jana Sangh members left to create a new political party known as the Bharatiya Janata Party. BJP. Formation in early days. Although the newly formed BJP was technically distinct from the Jana Sangh, the bulk of its rank and file were identical to its predecessor, with Vajpayee being its first president. Historian Ramachandra Guha writes that the early 1980s were marked by a wave of violence between Hindus and Muslims. The BJP initially moderated the Hindu nationalist stance of its predecessor, the Jana Sangh, to gain a wider appeal, emphasizing its links to the Janata Party and the ideology of Gandhian socialism. This was unsuccessful, as it won only 2 Lok Sabha seats in the elections of 1984. The assassination of Indira Gandhi a few months earlier resulted in a wave of support for the Congress, which won a record tally of 403 seats, contributing to the low number for the BJP. NDA government. Further information, National Democratic Alliance. A coalition of regional parties formed the government in 1996, but this grouping was short-lived, and midterm polls were held in 1998. The BJP contested the elections, leading a coalition called the National Democratic Alliance, which contained its existing allies like the Samata Party, the Shiromani Akali Dal, the Shiv Sena, in addition to the All India Anna Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam and the Biju Janata Dal. Among these regional parties, the Shiv Sena was the only one that had an ideology similar to the BJP. Amartya Sen, for example, called the coalition an ad hoc grouping. The NDA had a majority with outside support from the Telugu Desam Party, and Vajpayee returned as Prime Minister. However, the coalition ruptured in May 1999 when the leader of AIADMK, Jayalalitha, withdrew her support, and fresh elections were held again. On the 13th of October 1999, the NDA, without the AIADMK, won 303 seats in Parliament and thus an outright majority. The BJP had its highest ever tally of 183. Vajpayee became Prime Minister for the third time, Advani became Deputy Prime Minister and Home Minister. This NDA government lasted its full term of 5 years. Its policy agenda included a more aggressive stance on defense and terror as well as neoliberal economic policies. In 2001, Bangaru Laxman, then the BJP president, was filmed accepting a bribe of 100,000 rupees to recommend the purchase of handheld thermal imagers for the Indian Army to the Defense Ministry in a sting operation by Tehelka journalists. The BJP was forced to make him resign and he was subsequently prosecuted. In April 2012, he was sentenced to 4 years in prison. In the 2014 Indian general election, the BJP won 282 seats, leading the NDA to a tally of 336 seats in the 543-seat Lok Sabha. Narendra Modi was sworn in as the 14th Prime Minister of India on the 26th of May 2014. The vote share of the BJP was 31% of all votes cast, a low figure relative to the number of seats it won. This was the first instance since 1984 of a single party achieving an outright majority in the Indian Parliament and the first time that it achieved a majority in the Lok Sabha on its own strength. Support was concentrated in the Hindi-speaking belt in north-central India. The magnitude of the victory was not predicted by most opinion and exit polls. Political analysts have suggested several reasons for this victory, including the popularity of Modi and the loss of support for the Congress due to the corruption scandals in its previous term. The BJP was also able to expand its traditionally upper class support base and received significant support from middle-class and Dalit people, as well as among other backward classes. Its support among Muslims remained low. Only 8% of Muslim voters voted for the BJP. The BJP was also very successful at mobilizing its supporters and raising voter turnout among them. In 2019, the BJP won the general election with a majority. Soon after coming to power, on the 5th of August 2019, the Modi administration revoked the special status, or limited autonomy, granted under Article 370 of the Indian Constitution to Jammu and Kashmir, a region administered by India as a state, and this state consists of the larger part of Kashmir, which has been the subject of dispute among India, Pakistan, and China since 1947. Later in 2019, the Modi government introduced the Citizenship Act, 2019, which was passed by the Parliament of India on the 11th of December 2019. It amended the Citizenship Act, 1955 by providing a path to Indian citizenship for illegal immigrants of Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi, or Christian religion who had fled persecution from Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan before December 2014. Muslims from those countries were not given such eligibility. The act was the first time religion had been overtly used as a criterion for citizenship under Indian law. A report by the V-Dem Institute described India as experiencing democratic backsliding during the Modi-led BJP's rule. The official philosophy of the BJP is integral humanism, a philosophy first formulated by Deendayal Upadhyaya in 1965, who described it as advocating an indigenous economic model that puts the human being at center stage. It is committed to Hindutva, an ideology articulated by Indian independence activist Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. According to the party, Hindutva is cultural nationalism favoring Indian culture over Westernization, thus it extends to all Indians regardless of religion. However, scholars and political analysts have called their Hindutva ideology an attempt to redefine India and recast it as a Hindu country to the exclusion of other religions, making it a Hindu nationalist party in a general sense. The BJP has slightly moderated its stance after the NDA was formed in 1998 due to the presence of parties with a broader set of ideologies. The BJP's Hindutva ideology has been reflected in many of its government policies. It supports the construction of the Ram Temple at the disputed site of the Babri Mosque. This issue was its major poll plank in the 1991 general elections. However, the demolition of the mosque during a BJP rally in 1992 resulted in a backlash against it, leading to a decline of the temple's prominence in its agenda. The education policy of the NDA government reorganized the National Council of Educational Research and Training and tasked it with extensively revising the textbooks used in Indian schools. Various scholars have stated that this revision, especially in the case of history textbooks, was a covert attempt to saffronize Indian history. The NDA government introduced Vedic astrology as a subject in college curricula, despite opposition from several leading scientists. Taking a position against what it calls the pseudo-secularism of the Congress Party, the BJP instead supports positive secularism. Vajpayee laid out the BJP's interpretation of Mahatma Gandhi's doctrine of Sarva Dharma Samabhava and contrasted it with what he called European secularism. He had said that Indian secularism attempted to see all religions with equal respect, while European secularism was independent of religion, thus making the former more positive. The BJP supports a uniform civil code, which would apply a common set of personal laws to every citizen regardless of their personal religion, replacing the existing laws which vary by religious community. Historian Yogendra Malik claims this ignores the differential procedures required to protect the cultural identity of the Muslim minority. The BJP favored, and later enacted the abrogation of Article 370 of the Constitution of India, which granted a greater degree of autonomy to Jammu and Kashmir in recognition of the unusual circumstances surrounding its accession to the Indian Union. The BJP opposes illegal immigration into India from Bangladesh. The party states that this migration, mostly in the states of Assam and West Bengal, threatens the security, economy, and stability of the country. Academics have pointed out that the BJP refers to Hindu migrants from Bangladesh as refugees and reserves the term illegal for Muslim migrants. Academic Michael Gillen perceived it as an attempt to use an emotive issue to mobilize Hindu sentiment in a region where the party has not been historically successful. The party later became the party of government in Assam. In 2013, the Supreme Court of India reinstated the controversial Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which, among other things, criminalizes homosexuality. There was a popular outcry, although clerics, including Muslim religious leaders, stated that they supported the verdict. BJP President Rajnath Singh said that the party supported Section 377 because it believed that homosexuality was unnatural, though the party softened the stance after its victory in the 2014 general elections. Senior party members including Arun Jaitley and Harsh Vardhan openly support the rights of gender and sexual minorities in India. Vanathi Srinivasan, a BJP official from Tamil Nadu, launched the first book on LGBTQIA and genderqueer in Tamil penned by Gopi Shankar Madurai. However, other leading party figures, such as Subramanian Swamy, were strongly critical of the decision by the Supreme Court to strike down Section 377 and Navtej Singh Johar v. Union of India. The Modi government is opposed to same-sex marriage, stating in a legal affidavit that legalizing it would cause complete havoc with the delicate balance of personal laws in the country, and that it was not comparable with Indian family unit concept of a husband, wife and children which necessarily presuppose a biological man as husband, a biological woman as wife and children born out of union. Economic policies. The BJP's economic policy has changed considerably since its founding. There is a significant range of economic ideologies within the party. In the 1980s, like the Jana Sangh, it reflected the thinking of the RSS and its affiliates. It supported Swadeshi and a protectionist export policy. However, it supported internal economic liberalization and opposed the state-driven industrialization favored by the Congress. During the 1996 elections, the BJP shifted its stance away from protectionism and towards globalization. Its election manifesto recommended increasing foreign investment in priority sectors, while restricting it in others. When the party was in power in 1998, it shifted its policy even further in favor of globalization. The tenure of the NDA saw an unprecedented influx of foreign companies in India. This was criticized by the left parties and the BJP's affiliates. The Communist Party said that the BJP was attempting to appease the World Bank and the United States government through its neoliberal policies. Similarly, the RSS stated that the BJP was not being true to its Swadeshi ideology. The two NDA governments in the period 1998-200 introduced significant deregulation and privatization of government-owned enterprises. It also introduced tariff-reducing measures. These reforms built off of the initial economic liberalization introduced by the P.V. Narasimha Rao-led Congress government in the early 1990s. India's GDP growth increased substantially during the tenure of the NDA. The 2004 campaign slogan India Shining was based on the party's belief that the free market would bring prosperity to all sectors of society. After its unexpected defeat, commentators said that it was punished for neglecting the needs of the poor and focusing too much on its corporate allies. This shift in the economic policies of the BJP was also visible in state governments, especially in Gujarat, where the BJP held power for 16 years. Modi's government, in power from 2002 to 2014, followed a strongly neoliberal agenda presented as a drive towards development. Its policies have included extensive privatization of infrastructure and services, as well as a significant rollback of labor and environmental regulations. While this was praised by the business community, commentators criticized it as catering to the BJP's upper-class constituency instead of the poor. Modi has been described as taking a more economically populist approach on healthcare and agricultural policy. Modi's government has also been described as taking a more protectionist turn on international trade during his second term, withdrawing from the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership talks and introducing the 2020 Atmanirbhar Bharat economic plan, which emphasizes national self-sufficiency. However, Foreign Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar has rejected accusations that Atmanirbhar Bharat is a protectionist initiative, while himself criticizing India's past free trade agreements for the damaging impact they have had on India's manufacturing. Similarly, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has also disputed the initiative's protectionism, instead stating that it meant adopting a pragmatic development strategy that would enable the country to recognize and capitalize on its inherent strengths, defense and counterterrorism. Compared to Congress, the BJP takes a more aggressive and nationalistic position on defense policy and terrorism. The Vajpayee-led NDA government carried out nuclear weapons tests and enacted the Prevention of Terrorism Act, which later came under heavy criticism. It also deployed troops to evict infiltrators from Kargil and supported the United States war on terror. Although previous Congress governments developed the capability for a nuclear weapons test, the Vajpayee government broke with India's historical strategy of avoiding it and authorized Pokhran II, a series of 5 nuclear tests in 1998. The tests came soon after Pakistan tested a medium-range ballistic missile. They were seen as an attempt to display India's military prowess to the world and a reflection of anti-Pakistan sentiment within the BJP. The Vajpayee government ordered the Indian armed forces to expel the Pakistani soldiers occupying Kashmir territory, later known as the Kargil War. Although the government was later criticized for the intelligence failures that did not detect Pakistani presence, it was successful in ousting them from the previously Indian-controlled territory. After the terrorist attack on the Indian Parliament in December 2001, the NDA government passed the Prevention of Terrorism Act. The aim of the act was to improve the government's ability to deal with terrorism. It initially failed to pass in the Rajya Sabha. Therefore, the NDA took the extraordinary step of convening a joint session of the Parliament, where the numerical superior Lok Sabha allowed the bill to pass. The act was subsequently used to prosecute hundreds of people accused of terrorism. However, it was criticized by opposition parties and scholars for being an infringement upon civil liberties, and the National Human Rights Commission of India stated that it had been used to target Muslims. It was later repealed by the Congress-led UPA government in 2004. The Modi government has conducted several strikes on territory controlled by neighboring countries on counterterrorism grounds. This included a 2015 Indian counterinsurgency operation in Myanmar against the National Socialist Council of Nagaland, the 2016 Indian Line of Control strike in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, and the 2019 Balakot airstrike in Pakistan. It also militarily intervened in defense of Bhutan during the 2017 Doklam standoff with China. The Modi government considers national security to be one of their key focuses and has implemented many long-standing defense reforms. In August 2019, the Modi government established the post of the Chief of Defense Staff to ensure better coordination between all 3 services, a reform that was widely requested after the 1999 Kargil War. The Department of Military Affairs was also established and put under the CDS. Retired Admiral Arun Prakash called it the most significant development in the national security domain since independence. Modi has also pushed for the indigenization and privatization of the defense production sector, as well as promoting the export of Indian-made arms to smaller countries. Foreign policy. The historical stance of the BJP towards foreign policy, like the Bharatiya Jana saying, was based on an aggressive Hindu nationalism combined with economic protectionism. The Bharatiya Jana saying was founded with the explicit aim of reversing the partition of India. As a result, its official position was that the existence of Pakistan was illegitimate. This antagonism toward Pakistan remains a significant influence on the BJP's ideology. During the Cold War, the party and its affiliates strongly opposed India's long-standing policy of non-alignment and instead advocated closeness to the United States. In the post-Cold War era, the party has largely embraced the Indian foreign policy consensus of improving relations with the United States, while stressing a desire for a more multipolar world order. The Vajpayee government's foreign policy in many ways represented a radical shift from BJP orthodoxy while maintaining some aspects of it. Its policy also represented a significant change from the Nehruvian idealism of previous governments, opting instead for realism. His party criticized him for adopting a much more moderate stance with Pakistan. In 1998, he made a landmark visit to Pakistan and inaugurated the Delhi-Lahore bus service. Vajpayee signed the Lahore Declaration, which was an attempt to improve Indo-Pakistani relations that deteriorated after the 1998 nuclear tests. However, the presence of Pakistani soldiers and militants in the disputed Kashmir territory was discovered a few months later, causing the 1999 Kargil War. The war ended a couple of months later, with the expulsion of the infiltrators 2 months later, without any shift in the line of control that marked the de facto border between the 2 countries. Despite the war, Vajpayee continued to display a willingness to engage Pakistan in dialogue. This was not well received among the BJP cadre, who criticized the government for being weak. This faction of the BJP asserted itself at the post-Kargil Agra summit, preventing any significant deal from being reached. The Vajpayee administration also offered political support to the U.S. war on terror in the hope of better addressing India's issues with terrorism and insurgency in Kashmir. This led to closer defense ties with the U.S., including negotiations for the sale of weapons. However, the BJP strongly condemned the 2003 invasion of Iraq, stating that it deplores the unjustified military action resorted to by the United States, Britain, and their allies against Iraq. The BJP also opposed the 2011 military intervention in Libya and urged the Lok Sabha to pass a unanimous resolution condemning it. The Modi government initially took a pragmatic stance towards Pakistan, attempting to improve relations with Nawaz Sharif's government, culminating in Modi visiting Pakistan in 2015. Relations subsequently deteriorated, particularly after Sharif was ousted in 2017. The Modi government has since been described as taking a hardline approach on Pakistan, and the BJP has accused the opposition Congress of collaborating with Pakistan through its criticism of government policy. In 2015, the Modi government was accused by the Nepalese government of imposing an undeclared blockade on Nepal. The Modi government expressed concern following the 2021 Myanmar coup d'etat, but maintained cordial relations with the military government, abstaining from a United Nations Security Council resolution regarding the situation there. The Modi government has taken a neutral stance on the Russo-Ukrainian war. In 2022, opposition figures Priyanka Chaturvedi and Shashi Tharoor criticized the Modi government's abstention on United Nations Security Council Resolution 2623, which condemned the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. However, the leadership of the Indian National Congress backed the government's stance.